Hey everybody, Tim Dwyer from South Australia. Today my message about the agenda of the voice, and it is an agenda, I believe. What you're going to see is my thoughts, my research to a great degree, and I want you to think long and hard about it. But before we do, I want you to think about these words from the songs of the Seekers. We are one, but we are many. From all the lands on earth we have come. We share a dream. And we sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australians. We are Australians. I am, you are, we sing with one voice to advance our common dream of a peaceful, beautiful nation and a wonderful way of life. Let me now share the screen, bring up my PowerPoint as I always do, open that up. A country divided against itself must fall. I must not worry about who will be offended by the following truths. My concern is who will be misled and deceived and possibly destroyed if the truth is not spoken. I will now speak my truth. What is the agenda that is driving the dividing of Australia, that is the voice to Parliament? If we look at the four people on this screen, every one of them is communist bound. Thomas Mayo, Noel Pearson, Marcia Langton, and the would-be Prime Minister, and I say would-be because he hasn't signed a lawful oath or affirmation. He's an imposter. Moving right along. Who is really behind the voice to Parliament? Let's have a look at this. Noel Pearson, considered the author of the voice, has worked on the board of many communist-led Aboriginal communities, worked closely with Communist Party of Australia member Marcia Langton, and has promoted Communist Party of Australia ideals of Aboriginal succession from Australia. That's in their mind, that's in their heart. They talk about the Uluru Statement of the Heart. If that is the case, it's coming from the heart of a communist. Marcia Langton was a member of the National Committee of the Communist League, a Troikowski group that campaigned for the violent overthrow of the Australian government and the implementation of a totalitarian state. She is a trained communist. Albo, as I said, not a lawful Prime Minister. He hasn't sworn a lawful oath, and we have the documents to prove it. Albo, the leader of the Australian Labor Party, has a long documented history with radical communists, trade unions, and even the Communist Party itself, from conducting interviews with them and even aligning himself with their active causes in his younger days. He is a trained communist. Come down the bottom to Thomas Mayo. Thomas Mayo, a self-described militant communist who has ties to the Communist Party of Australia and their successor, Search Foundation. He has been heavily involved with anti-Australian activism, including Black Lives Matter rallies. Thomas is a trained communist and an anti-white activist. Let's go to Marcia Langton. Marcia Langton was a member, we've done her, sorry. Let's go back down here to Linda Burney. Linda Burney, Minister for Indigenous Affairs in Australia. And by the way, Linda hasn't signed a lawful oath or affirmation either. Indigenous Australians was once the biggest proponents of the yes vote. She is always pushing the talking points of the Communist Party of Australia and constantly undermines Australians for not wanting to hand their country over to the communist radicals who pretend to be Aboriginals. You wonder what the agenda is? There it is. The Uluru Statement from the heart, if it came from the heart of any of these people, it came from the heart of the communist doctrine. Why vote no? I've taken this from the constitutionalequality.au website. Giving one race an additional constitutional power of representation erodes the democratic principle of one adult vote. One adult equals one vote. Changing our constitution to give one race an additional power of representation dilutes the very essence of democracy by devaluing the representation of all other races. Over the future decades and possibly centuries, this will have a profound, I believe, destructive effect on this country. All races, right? All races should be treated equally in our constitution. Giving one group a right based on race or colour of skin that excludes everyone else will create a two-tiered Australia, permanently divided. And before you vote on the 14th, I want you to think about this. Is that the future you personally want to see for Australia? Permanently divided, because there's no going back. You can't go back. Is that the future you personally want? Aboriginal people already have equal political representation. This means that Aboriginal Torres Strait Island people have the same constitutional recognition and representation as all races in Australia. Is this not an established fact? It is. Professor Marcia Langton said, the people who are opposing the Voice referendum are saying that we are destroying the fabric of their sacred constitution. Yes, that's right. That's exactly what we're doing. Please understand. I want you to understand. That is the mindset of this woman and her compatriots. That is the essence of what is in her heart. They wish to destroy the very fabric of our Constitution. This is not about equality. This is about the destruction of the very fabric of our way of life. The destruction of Australia, the Australia that gave her all the opportunity, the Australia that gave her the education, the Australia that affords her the money that she earns, and she wants to destroy it. What is their agenda? The so-called Prime Minister stated that he will implement in full the Uluru Statement from the Heart. He admitted he had not read it. Why should I, he said. I already know the outcome. Mr. Albanese, how could you already know the outcome unless you have some nefarious process in place to alter the count or to impede the count? How could you know? What is going on here? I'd like an answer. Is their agenda the implementation of apartheid, an official policy of racial segregation involving political, legal, and economic discrimination against non-blacks, a policy or practice of separating or segregating groups of or races of people? Is that their agenda, to turn Australia into an apartheid nation, third world nation, country? The total spend per year for Indigenous people in Australia is somewhere between $30 to $40 billion. Your money, not the government's, it's yours. How much is enough? Where does it all go? Right? Where in the name of decency is it all going? Well, it's probably going into the bureaucracy of the corporations, the 300 plus corporations that administer the money. By the time it gets through the corporation paychecks and little perks and lurks, there's nothing left for the people on the ground. It's your 40 billion a year. That's 40 billion. That's $40,000 million. In this case, money is the enemy of truth. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts without restriction, and it corrupts completely. I think we're seeing that right here, right now. Beware of the agenda. The Voice is really an agenda to divide and control the Australian people. Could our children be second-class citizens in their own country of birth? Are not Aboriginal people already overrepresented in our federal parliament? And additionally, there are more than 300 Aboriginal service provider corporations. That's what's sucking up the money. None of it's getting to the people on the ground. Dividing people by race cannot create unity, and it is unlawful. Restitution payments will result in extra taxes. Pay the rent. You heard Thomas Mayo talk about that. Pay the rent. Australians are already suffering under high cost of living. Will the Voice undermine the private property ownership? Well, you wait and see. Aboriginal organisations already receive billions of dollars from federal government. Where's that money going? The Albanese government can't be trusted. It's simple. How do you know anybody in the Labor Party is telling lies? Their lips are moving. They lied about the energy costs, their lips were moving. They've lied about the extra water coming to South Australia, their lips were moving. And they're lying about this as well. The Voice is a stepping stone to treaty. Aboriginal people represent about 4% of the Australian population, as already said. Presently, they have submitted applications, if successful, will give them native title over more than 40% of the Australian landmass. And let me tell you, I've seen the document that has every courthouse, every police station, every hospital, every high school, every primary school, every sporting facility run by the councils, everything. There's literally thousands and thousands of them all over in every state across the nation. I want you to understand this is more about a land grab than anything else, I believe. The referendum does not meet the legal requirements. We won't go into that here, but I can guarantee you it does not meet the legal requirements. And Tom, the post turtle, he can say whatever he likes, but there's no crown seal, no crown stamp on the writ for a start. What's the agenda? The religion of many people in Australia is sport. Land councils have put claims on thousands of sporting grounds. If you vote yes, you could be forced to pay the rent for your child to even go and play sport. Welcome to your new Australia. As shown above, the key players in the Voice have strong ties to the Communist Party. If yes is adopted, what country in our region is communist? Could these communists have a link to China? Is there an alliance between the Australian Communist Party and the Chinese Communist Party? I think it's a question worth asking. If the yes vote carries, this will impact our ability from a military point of view. Because if these people have an alliance with China, what could they do? If they have their own parliament, could they invite Chinese troops into Australia, to their part of Australia? I don't know, I'm just asking. In time, could this become the new Australian flag? Well, if these four people had anything to do with it, I would say yes. Why? A communist, Thomas Mayo, Marcia Langdon, a communist, Anthony Norman Albanese, a communist, right? They're all communists or tied up with the communists. Noel Pearson, right? Do you want this in your country? For me, hell no. It's simple. There is far too much at risk. When the government hides and withholds vital information intentionally, then it must be on the nose. It's not right. We, the Australian people of all manner of heritage, we must join together as one people and simply say, no. No, we will not be divided. No, we will come together, right? We are one from all the lands on earth we've come. We share a dream, and we're going to sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australians, and that's the way it will stay. Vote no on the 14th. My name's Tim Dwyer. That is the truth according to me. Do with this video, whatever you like. Believe it, don't believe it, check it out, do whatever. That's up to you. Once you've heard the truth, you can't deny the truth. See you next time.